Hello everyone, this is 369 Game Design and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to be talking about a better way to learn Unity from an experience that I've had recently. When I first started learning Unity, I started off the John Lennon Haunted House Jaunt, a 3D beginner course that's supplied by Unity. And then I went into Ruby's Adventure, the 2D beginner, also supplied by Unity. And I actually did alright with them. I brought my confidence with these courses. And after looking around on YouTube, I found a course tutorial basically on how to create a board game. And I thought, I could do that. So I used what I learned from the YouTube tutorial, and I went and I created my own board game, which took me over a year to release Spacegates and Wormholes. And I was very proud of my work. But during this time, I struggled through with no real knowledge of how the coding works. Doing the research on YouTube and Facebook and Google, etc., I found snippets of code that I struggled to try to implement into my program the way I want, because I couldn't really understand exactly what was being done and how it was being done and what all the different variables were doing. I was simply copying and pasting code and hoping that it would work successfully. So before I go into what I found, I would like to express the fact that I am not paid nor affiliated by Unity. This is not a paid advert or paid in any way. I just found this course that I did, the Create with Code course, amazing and well worth the time, and I'd like to actually mention more about it. And honestly, I should have done this right up front in the beginning, and it would have saved me a lot of frustration along the way. The Create with Code course supplied by Unity, as I say, is a beginner course, and it's actually quite intensive at 36 hours, more or less, depending on how fast you can actually progress through the courses. It's an official course, as I mentioned, and you can gain experience as you go through, which then relates to getting badges as you progress through. But the main thing that I found impressive with this course was the hand-holding and excellent teaching all the way through. It also helps you really understand what you are coding and why you're actually coding it. So as you scroll down, you start off at the absolute basics, where you learn how to download Unity, what all the different screens relate to, what buttons, etc. that you can be using to develop, and you get a really good feeling of the interface. As you know, how can you actually code if you don't know the landscape of what you're actually coding in? Going into the first section, you get your player controls, which starts off with a basic move a car down a road, but it teaches you how to do the player controls, and eventually you get to the point where you can actually drive this car down the road, hit obstacles, avoid obstacles, and understand how the player controls work within Unity. Very good foundation setting. In the basic gameplay section, you work with a top scroller where you're actually throwing pizza slices at animals that are charging you. But the main thing it teaches you is the basic gameplay elements that are crucial to every game that we are developing. Talking about spawning at random enemies, throwing projectiles, your collisions, triggers, and even your game over controls, which is quite excellent. From there, they put you into a project with a side scroller where it expands on the basics of your sounds and effects and setting up your particles, a key ingredient to any game that we're developing. Games with no sound or effects just seem bland and boring. Also, it starts the foundations of your physics, gravity, getting things to use a force to roll down a hill and interact with other objects as you go through. Again, the next section of any game is to have a good UI screen, and they would teach you how to do the basics, setting up a basic screen and canvas, putting in buttons to select what level of difficulty you'd like to start in the game, showing scores and various different UI controls that happen within the game. Very well done and handheld all the way through, so you fully understand how everything is working, why it's working, and when you're putting in a component, you understand why you're putting that component in. All in all, I really enjoyed the training on this course. It gave me a far better understanding of what am I doing and why am I doing it when I'm actually doing my development. Thinking back, I've seen so many questions on social media on simple questions. How would I move a player to left and right in my game? How do I enable physics? And a lot of these questions are solved in this course if you actually take it. And it just creates a good solid foundation. Within this game as well, they have little quizzes which are very fun to actually go through and actually solidify the knowledge of what you're actually learning. But at the same time, they teach you how to develop your own game from scratch, starting with the official start where you create a simple one-pager to say, this is what my game will be. The player will move from left to right. It will dodge a rock. An enemy will throw a projectile at it, etc. To define exactly what you want out of your game in a one-pager so that you can give it to anybody and they can understand what you're going to do. It also keeps you from going too far in the development so that you can actually keep it to a minimum viable product just to actually get the core mechanics done. And honestly, this is something that I will be doing in every one of my games going forward. Build a game using primitive objects, get the core logic and sequencing working before you start throwing in graphics and sound and particle effects, etc. Looking back, I spent hours making particles and putting graphics in place, etc., only to discard it later on because it didn't work later on with some other piece of code that I was putting in. The other nice thing about this course is that it actually allows a certification on the course, which you can actually then become a certified user program if you'd like, and all the information about what to study, how to study, course content, and pricing is also available in the next step sections. To be fair, we all learn differently. Some people learn by doing, some people learn by watching a YouTube video. For me, I found that the hand holding structured small steps approach worked well for me, and I've retained a lot of the knowledge and I'll be putting it into good use going forward in my new projects. I do recommend this course going forward, and I thank you very much for your time of allowing me to present this to you. The links for the Ruby course, the John Lennon's Haunted House, and this will be available below, and I will see you next time in the next video.